All right. So I'm gonna have to find this book. I thought I downloaded the correct PDF for this entire thing, but I only grabbed the first book. So now I've got to find the second book, which is The Jewel of Alchemy, I believe. It is actually, which means I don't have any pictures. But maybe by the time I post this, I'll have pictures. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. At least in this reading, I'll do my homework and try to get it for you. The true secret of the Philosopher's Stone, or Jewel of Alchemy, wherein the process of making the great elixir is discovered by which base metals may be turned into pure gold, containing the most excellent and profitable instructions in the Hermetic art, discovering that valuable and secret medicine of the philosophers to make men healthy, wise, and happy by F. Barrett, student of chemistry, natural philosophy, etc., 1801. Epistle to Muses. Thou, O Muphus, whose mind is high, observe my words and read them with thine eye. These secrets in thy sacred breast repone, and in thy journey think of God alone, the author of all things that cannot die, of whom we now shall speak. I tell of thee here, Musis. Is it Musis? To observe our words and read them with thine eye, that is, the eye of thine understanding. For know there are many that hear us speak, that read not the meaning of our words. Wherefore shouldest thou contemplate these mysteries with so much constancy of mind, if thou didst not perceive in them some great good most desirable? Listen then, O young man, and hear our words. We will shew thee the dangerous precipice of vanity and headlong desire. We will describe to thee the stubborn and fatal will of our passions, even with tears of contrition and heartfelt compassion for thy inexperience. We will lead thee, as it were, by the hand through those labyrinths of vice wherewith thou art daily surrounded, and, however prejudiced thou mightest be against the receiving of our doctrine, yet be allured. We have in our possession the magical virtue and power of binding thee to our principles and making thee happy in spite of thyself. Here is a great secret. Thou shalt say, every man wishes to be happy, which I grant, but my answer is, most men prevent their own happiness. They destroy it by suffering themselves to be governed by the outward principle of the flesh, thinking the greatest good to be in the satisfying of their carnal appetites, or in the massing together heaps of wealth, whereby they thrust down the meek and poor, raising up the standards of pride, envy, and oppression. These things every day's experience confirms. Nay, there are some so blind that in the possession of much wealth they think there is nothing beyond it, in so much that they triumph in lust, oppression, revenge, and contumely. But how is it, thou wilt say, that seeing man is a reasonable being, he can possibly give up his government so easily? I say, when a man suffers the unreasonable and bestial part to deprave him, then he immediately becomes a slave. And the vilest of slavery is that which deprives man of his social virtues. For then, although in possession of great worldly things, such as houses, estates, and all other temporal gifts, yet he becomes an immediate instrument to the prince of this world and the powers of darkness, seeing that those riches he inherits are merely given him in this life to bestow upon others those necessaries and comforts which he himself does not feel the want of, and by which he might, if not blinded by his passions and lusts, secure himself an eternal and incorruptible treasure. But he who possesses treasures without mercy, liberality, bounty, charity, etc., robs the eternal author of all good, of the honor due unto him, and, in short, is working destruction to his own soul. His riches, instead of benefiting himself and others, eventually and finally terminates as a curse. While he lives here, he is a scourge to society, and after he leaves this, it is plain enough pointed out in the New Testament what will be his situation and condition. Therefore, young man, thou hast but a few years to live. Study how to attain the stone we teach of. It will protect the beauty of thy youth, though thou shouldn't live for centuries. It will ever supply thee with, is that shouldest? Thou shouldest live for centuries. It will ever supply thee with the means of comforting the afflicted, in so much that when thou hast attained this truly desirable and most perfect talisman, thy life will become soft and and pleasant. No cares, no corroding pangs, no self torment will ever invade thy mind. Neither shalt thou want the means to be happy in respect of the possession of the goods of this life, but shalt have abundantly. But how and from what source all this is to proceed, out of what thing or matter thou shalt attain thy wished for end, the studying of the ensuing treatise will sufficiently shew. Thy friend, FB. I'll do this one too. To the reader. Although we do not, in any point of science, arrogate perfection to ourselves, yet something we have attained by dear experience, by diligent labor, and by study, worthy of being communicated for the instruction of either the licentious libertine or the grave student, the observer of nature, and this our work we concentrated into a focus. It is, as it were, a spiritual essence drawn from a large quantity of matter, for we can say with propriety that this little treatise is truly spiritual and essential to the happiness of man. Therefore, to those who wish to be happy with every good intention, we command this work to be their constant companion in study, in which, if they persevere, they shall not fail of their desires in attainment of the true philosopher's stone. That's it for today.